Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Words from Behind the Desk. I'm loving these Facebook's lives. Rania, I am so excited to be having another conversation. And actually, of course, how is alive if something does not happen? Rania left, and now she is bloop back. Rania, it wouldn't be a proper Facebook Live if something didn't happen, right?
This is COVID for you. I mean, what can you say?
Guys, we are so excited to be having a conversation today with another incredible guest. But before we get started, my name is Vyky Rifai. I am your co-host today, and Rania Arwani. We all know who Rania Arwani is, the most amazing lawyer of Arwani law firm. And guys, if this is your first time seeing us, please make sure that you like us. Us. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we hope that we're able to give you a little bit of value today. If you haven't already, please make sure that you share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with your business. That way we can give this information to more people. And again, just give a little bit more value around the world. So we appreciate it. Rania, I'm having an amazing day today. It's sunny today, not like the last 2 Wednesdays we were here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm very excited for, a very amazing Wednesday, hump day. So happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesdays. I feel like this is the time when I figure out what day I'm on in the week. I'm like, oh, okay, it's Wednesday. We're going live today. I know what day it is.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. But Rania, if you could, for our guests, please introduce who our special interviewee is today.
So today we have an amazing interview with Judge Alan Apte. So Judge Alan Apte started as an attorney in 1993 and was elected to the bench in 2003. In his 18 years on the bench, he has presided over almost all divisions in the courtroom. He is currently assigned to the probate, mental health, and the guardianship division. Me personally, having appeared in front of him on multiple, on different cases and during my career, I can tell you that he is a very compassionate judge, very unbiased, and he treats everyone in his courtroom with dignity and respect. And it is always a pleasure to appear before him.
So let's go ahead and welcome in our very special guest, Judge Alan Apte.
Good afternoon. Thank you Judge, for that wonderful introduction. Oh my God, that was a wonderful introduction. I need to keep you on retainer for all my introductions. That's wonderful.
Well, Judge, you're an amazing job. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate it. I'm flattered and I'm honored. I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on today.
You're absolutely, Judge. It is, or actually Rania, Judge and Rania, it's actually kind of amazing because me going through voting on a local level, I have to be honest, and Judge, please don't judge me for saying this, but I have to be very honest and say that I don't usually do as much research as I should do to figure out who I should be electing for my judge. It's one of those things, I think we've had a conversation. You never think about it until you need to be thinking about it. And I'm so glad that I now have been, Rania has shown me how important it is. I mean, seriously, to know who it is that our elected officials are. So I'm really excited to deep dive into this conversation. And I know that there's some people out there like me. I cannot be the only one who picks based off of the name and me feeling like, oh, well, I feel like this name could be a friend of mine. So let me go ahead and pick this person, or maybe because I saw a lawn sign somewhere and I recognize the name. So Judge, if you could, because again, I cannot be the only person, can you please tell us who Judge Apte is so we can make an informed decision come August 18th?
And thank you for the opportunity to be here. I've been a circuit judge in Orange and Osceola counties for the past 18 years, and I've been living in Central Florida and practicing law since 1993. I'm a lifelong Floridian. I've grown up in South Florida. I moved to Central Florida after Hurricane Andrew, and from the moment that I arrived here in 1993, I've been in the community, inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom. I was a practicing lawyer, and before I took the bench, I had first chaired over 100 jury trials. That means I was the lead attorney that picked a jury, presented the witnesses, made the arguments, did all the prep work, and tried the case to the members of our community on the jury. Besides those jury trials, I did over 100 bench trials. That means the judge was the trier of fact and the decider. Scores and scores of evidentiary hearings as well. And then I ran for judge in 2002, and I got elected by the citizens of Orange and Osceola counties, but I never stopped working in the community. I've been on the Boys and Girls Club board of directors, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I've served ice cream and breakfast at Give Kids the World, coach youth soccer, still continue to serve on boards, and from a child to an adult to a grandparent, I'm in service to them. Seniors First, Meals and Wheels. I think it's very important that the community has someone who's involved in the community outside the courtroom and inside the courtroom. I have a great background. My parents are amazing. Blue collar background, grew up during the Great Depression, had nothing, and made themselves first ones in their family to get a college degree and a graduate degree. And since I was little, it was never about just graduating college. It was like, what postgraduate degree am I going to get? So education was very, very important, and I bring those memories and those teachings with me every single day to work as Orange and Osceola Circuit Judge.
That's amazing. So what I hear is your parents, Judge, are a major influence in your life, correct?
Absolutely. And we talked about this last week when you invited me to come on here. Today is actually the 1-year anniversary of my father passing away for almost about 3.5 years. He was still in South Florida. I would travel pretty much every single weekend to go see him and be by his side. And unfortunately, I watched over 3.5 years how dementia has caused his body and mind to fail. And even as it was failing, he still tried to teach me things. And I am who I am because of him. Every Father's Day was our special time to get away from the world, and not because we didn't love my mom, we did, but it was his time to take me to teach me things. He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to be a husband, a father, a friend to someone, and also to be a leader. And every single year is either fishing when we were little or fishing when we were older too. My father planned all the trips and everything. And my mom's a school teacher. I mean, she taught in the inner city of Miami in the 50s and the 60s. And then when I entered about first grade, she moved to closer to me so she could always be available to take me to school and pick me up from school. So it was always that educational background. But what's great about them is they have two very diverse backgrounds. My father, besides he's a lawyer, and he was a lawyer, and he was an aeronautical engineer. First graduating class from University of Florida. He was in the Air Force ROTC, back then Army Air Corps ROTC. And so he's got that very analytical brain, and he went into government work before going to private practice. And my mom was that school teacher background. So I got a lot of analytical from my dad, and I got a lot of educational from my mom. So I have that left brain, right brain that tells me you got to follow the rules, read the rules, follow the law. And then for my mom, it's when discretion kicks in, how do I utilize it? So I got the best of both worlds from them growing up, and it was a wonderful experience having them as my parents, and I miss them dearly both.
That's amazing parents, Judge, and I'm so sorry for your loss. And
so am I. How monumental though that we get to be talking about them today. So I'm really excited that we had a chance to have a conversation and to tell people, voters potentially, who you are, and having them as much of a part as they were in your life, to communicate that. I think that is such a namesake, and I'm excited that we have you on today to get to know even more. And I know that has to speak to some part of you about how your spirit in your courtroom is. Does it influence the way that you, or the spirit of your courtroom at all, having them as parents and who they are to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think doing this job does take an emotional toll on us. If we do the job right, and I think I do the job right, because at the end of the day, it's an emotion. It could be emotionally draining because the issues that we have to deal with, we have to be neutral. We have to sit there, basically, lack of a better phrase, sitting on our hands, and we are not advocates, so we have to sit there, listen, and we're listening for facts to apply it to the rules, to apply it to the law, and render the best decision. And I have served in every one of the possible divisions within our Ninth Circuit, Orange and Osceola counties. And what's wonderful about Orange and Osceola County is we have a very urban county, Orange, and we have a very rural county in Osceola. We're the only circuit in the state like that. We are the largest circuit that has multi-counties, and having an urban and a rural makes me, from my experience, a good judge, because I know what it's like to balance everything for the lawyers and the litigants in the urban environment, where there's tons and tons of time issues and travel issues. And then in the rural courthouse, where it's sometimes much more laid back, and people walk, from to the courthouse and things like that. It's given me a huge amount of experience and be able to understand everything, running a docket, getting witnesses in and out of the courthouse, litigants in and out of the courthouse. Everything is based upon my experience of 18 years. And I've practiced in these courthouses. So before that, I've practiced in these courthouses. So I know all the ins and outs of the buildings. I know the entire circuit from Yeehaw Junction all the way up to Zellwood. I've been everywhere.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And so with that, with your years and years of experience, what has been the most effective methods for improving court procedures and efficiency? Because you have to be a big old ball just of knowledge right now and experience. So I know.
Well, this sounds weird, but the pandemic has been, I think, the biggest driving force for us to modernize.
Wow, I agree. That's so cool.
Modernizing. And it's hard to explain to the general public. I just don't get a robe and go in a courtroom and just make decisions. I have rules. And the Florida Supreme Court, through the Rules of Judicial Administration, and also the Florida Legislature through statutes, it tells me what my jurisdiction is. It tells me what my rules are, and things that I have to do. So with the pandemic, the Supreme Court has changed some of the rules in regard to how we can take oaths. So we can take oaths over video now. So I can have, so as helped, video technology has been a godsend for pushing us forward in modernization.
Right.
Central Florida is a huge geographic area. And with this technology now being able to do things by video conferencing, it's easier to get people into the courthouse. That means, and this is a phrase that I use, and it's a truism. Justice delayed is justice denied. It doesn't matter if it's a civil case, a criminal case, a family case, a contract case, a landlord-tenant case. Any type of delays for either side is a problem. In our system, which is adversarial, we have winners, we have losers. Generally, we have losers and losers because not everybody gets what they want. So being more efficient, being able to use technology makes that perception of fairness better than what people perceive, because we always fight every single day about the perception of fairness with actual fairness. We can actually be fair, but because it took so long to get there, the perception could be that it was not fair. So in Central Florida, if you're a small business owner and you have to come to court for a 15-minute hearing, you may have to shut down your business because you have to drive in our roads, all this I-4 construction, drive to the courthouse, find a parking spot, go through the security, and then go to the courtroom and wait for your case to be called. And once your case is over, then you leave and then you have to go back to work. You've wasted a whole entire day. So you've basically closed your business. Whereas with this video technology, you could go to work. You know your hearing's at 10 o'clock, and at 9:59 you say, I gotta stop, turn the sign from open to closed, lock the door, and get on the computer, and then after a 15-minute, hour hearing, when it's over, you click end meeting, go to the front door, unlock it, turn the sign back from closed to open, and you are back working.
And I just went to court.
And I've been to court, and I have not missed that opportunity to work or make money or provide for my family. And the lawyers love it too, because Central Florida, lawyers commute between the several courthouses: Seminole, Brevard, Orange, Lake, Osceola, Polk. That's a lot of driving. But when they can sit in their offices and tell their clients, here's the link to get on, they're more efficient. They're more efficient. They can be prepared better because they're not wasting prep time by driving and then stressing about being late because of a traffic, and then having the clients be upset because they've been waiting, and the witnesses. And the best part about it is the witnesses are more available because I can swear them in because I can see them. Now, I was asked a couple weeks ago about how is taking testimony and evidence through video conferencing, and I said, it is really good, because always the issue is, how does a judge gauge someone's credibility looking through a camera into a TV screen? And my analogy was, in my courtroom, the witness stand is at about a 45-degree angle from where I sit. So if a lawyer or a litigant, or if a pro se litigant is asking a witness question, I only see half of their face. I see, from my courtroom now, I see the right side of their face. In my old courtroom, I see the left side of their faces because they're on an angle. And that is the best thing, is I can see their full facial features, so I can gauge their credibility. And that's what we're taught to do. Is it's not just the words you say, it's how you say it. Are you directly answering the question? Are you not? Are you going around answering the questions and all of that? So it's turning into a better tool, and being able to share information electronically. It saves time too. Instead of having to shuffle through things, you're like, oh, click here, click here, click here, and it's on the screen. So it's wonderful. Technology, I think, has been the best thing to make it more efficient, and the perception of justice is better when we can get people more efficiently into the courthouse.
Ooh, great answer, Judge. Great answer.
I noticed that when we have like parties and the judge needs to kind of watch, for example, the wife while the husband is testifying, when it's on Zoom or Teams, it's so in front of you. It's so clear. So you're not going to miss any smirks that one party makes when someone is testifying. And I had an instance, and where I had to kind of text my client during their testimony, like, stop making faces, the judge can't see you. So, and like, you just kick them under the table.
I can see you.
Yeah, but lawyers understand that. So when you're doing a jury trial, and I watch lawyers do that in our courthouse, our courtrooms has the judge sitting in a corner, like an angle, so they have a good view. Lawyers will stand at the end of the jury box to ask questions to the witness. So the witness is looking at them, so the jury gets to see their full faces when they're answering. So that is the same thing that we're doing using technology. The lawyers know how to position themselves in the courtroom. When lawyers make those arguments to the jurors, they're looking straight at them. They're not sitting at their table at an angle. They're standing in front of them, looking at them. So we know face on is the best way to communicate, and that's the greatest thing about this. And we're doing it now. I'm seeing you guys straight on. I see you guys, and the smiles are great, and the question, I see everything, and this is wonderful. I think this is what we do. And technology, businesses have to
Pivot.
Businesses have to not rebrand themselves, but they have to reinvent themselves. I believe there was a study done a couple of years ago by Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid company requires a new product every month, and then they sunset a product every month. So they, after so much time, they've completely reinvented themselves. And I think everything needs to do, the court system needs to do that. Everything we do needs to be reinvented. And the best part about the court system is we're the co-equal branch of government. So we have an obligation to make sure that we do things appropriately and efficiently and properly for everyone that we come in contact with.
I love that.
So Vyky asked me a question yesterday, and her question was, how does Judge Apte deal with pro se clients or litigants, in his courtroom?
So depending upon what division you are in, it's the amount of pro se individuals. Criminal, very, very few pro se, because under the U.S. Constitution, the Florida Constitution, indigent clients have the right to have an attorney represent them. And if they don't want an attorney, we're required to do certain types of hearings to make sure that they are competent to represent themselves. In civil, there's more pro se litigants. Family court, there's a lot of pro se litigants. In my probate guardianship division, mental health division I'm in now, everyone gets a lawyer. You have to have a lawyer in my division, except for a little small percentage. So the rules apply the same for lawyers and non-lawyers, because it's called the equal playing field. The courts have to treat everyone exactly the same. We do have some discretion in certain things. So if a pro se person has missed a deadline, or if they don't know the exact way of doing that, our discretion kicks in, where we have to do what we call the prejudicial effect. So if a pro se doesn't do something accurately, we have to think of it, okay, how is this prejudicial or not? And if it's not prejudicial, then we let it do. And in family, the Supreme Court has said is we are to assist the pro ses in presentation and guide them. And the courts has the right to ask questions. Our rules allow us to ask questions as well. And I ask, and other judges ask, may I help you with that presentation? And we can do that. We can't become an advocate, but we can assist in the presentation. And with this technology, you will not believe how many people, and the pro ses, not pro ses, but people appear by themselves, and then their lawyers come in as well. So it's almost like having a pro se, because I send them that link for the video, and they get on and they go, hey, Judge, I want to show you this document. I say to the lawyer, you have any problem with me seeing your client's document? And they're like, no, Judge. And they put it on the screen. So this is going to be a whole new world if the Supreme Court allows us to continue doing this. And I can see pro se individuals having more of an opportunity in our system, and they do wonderful jobs. I did a trial when I was in family a couple of years ago. It was a divorce trial. The wife represented herself, and the husband had an attorney. And I'm sitting there taking my notes, and I'm like, the wife, who has no training at all, read up on the rules, and I think she said that she had looked up on the internet objections, and she started making legal objections, and I'm saying sustained. That means she's right. And and I'm like, this is a great trial. We were I think it was a 2-day trial, and she was all prepared, all her evidence. It was a wonderful trial. So pro ses can prepare just as well as the lawyers, especially now with Google and Yahoo and search engines and Find Law and all this. You can be completely prepared. But pro se's do need to recognize that if a lawyer makes an objection for their client and it's a legally sufficient objection, I'm required to sustain it. And then we go from there. And there's certain objections that I can assist with, like lack of foundation. So I can say, well, you need to tell the pro se person what's missing so they can attempt to do it, to fix it. So it's wonderful. Our role is to get people in the courtroom and to resolve their disputes, good, bad, or indifferent. Again, as I said earlier, this is an adversarial system. There's winners and losers, and generally, truthfully, there are losers and losers because no one's going to get 100% of what they want. And again, you have to balance that perception of fairness with actual fairness.
And that's what we tell our clients all the time. Going to trial, you're not going to get exactly what you want. You're going to get something you want, and you're going to get something that you definitely don't want. You're going to walk out, you're going to be unhappy. He's going to be unhappy.
It's like going to mediation. Good lawyers tell their clients, give me your 10 items you want. Then give of those 10, which 5 are the non-negotiables and which 5 are the negotiables, because that's exactly, unfortunately, how the process wins. And that's exactly how it is. There's always going to be something that you have to give and understand that you may not get. Even if like a civil, what most people don't understand is if you go to a trial in a civil case and say you get a verdict and the plaintiff wins and gets a money judgment, that's just the start. It doesn't mean they're actually going to collect the money. Then you have to go through the whole process of trying to collect it and all of that. So, it's almost like sometimes television does not do justice to the justice system. And when I was in a jury trial division, I would use Law and Order as an example. I would say, I was a Law and Order fan growing up, and it's an hour-long TV. It was an hour-long TV show on NBC.
Yes.
Take out the commercials. It's 40 minutes long. First 20 minutes, something happens. Second 20 minutes, there's a court case.
Yes.
That's not reality, but that's theatrical.
What?
So,
it's longer than 20 minutes?
It's only about 20
I've been lied to
minutes.
my entire life. I've been lied to. We actually have a question from a viewer. Shall we go ahead and get into it? John Notori says, what are your thoughts on minimum mandatory sentences? Fair or frustrating?
Well, I know that John Notori is a practicing lawyer, and John has practiced in front of me over the years, and we've actually had cases against each other. His family and his extended family are well known within the Central Florida legal community. That's a tough question to answer because as a sitting judge, I am constrained by the judicial canons. I cannot answer questions that may be a case or controversy that may come in front of me. I will say as the legislature establishes the laws and I'm required to follow the law. If the legislature gives me discretion, then I have the ability to exercise my discretion. A lot of the things in that question are really more prosecutor questions than judge questions because prosecutors have the right on certain charges not to charge them where the minimum mandatory would be a requirement and constrains the judge's hands. Prosecutors have prosecutorial discretion to charge crimes. For example, we'll say aggravated battery with a firearm. Okay, that has a minimum mandatory. You can be charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. That does not have a minimum mandatory, but they're the same offense. So that's a prosecutorial discretion issue, and that gives the court discretion if they charge aggravated battery with a deadly weapon versus aggravated battery with a firearm. That changes where I can do something.
Good. Thank you, John, for your question.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
So, you presided over all the divisions. So how do you prepare, when you're moving from one division to the next, or before before a hearing or a big trial? What do you do? I know you go to the office very early. That I know.
I think I got an email from this morning at 4 a.m.
I think so.
Well, it's actually funny. There's a little, and I'm going to probably get in trouble with some of my fellow judges, but every once in a while we get text messages of who gets to the courthouse first in the morning. We get pictures of automobiles in our garage of, oh, I beat so-and-so to the courthouse for once, and things like that. I before I became a judge, and I told this story. I don't really tell the story a lot. My father, who was a lawyer, he would cut out of the legal newspaper, the Florida Bar News, and my dad's from South Florida, and it's called the Daily Business Review there. My father would take scissors and cut out of those newspapers articles and write on a yellow legal pad piece of paper, read this, and then call me. So, and as a lawyer and as a judge, he was doing that. He was always trying to teach me something. So when I came here, I had an incredible opportunity, and I still have that same incredible opportunity. There are judges. I'm trying to think. I think there's about one or two judges still on the bench now that were on the bench when I started practicing here in Orlando. And I've had a great opportunity in my 27 years here and the 18 years on the bench to work with incredibly smart, intelligent women and men. And what most people don't know is in the Ninth Circuit, of all the 66 judges, 33 men, 33 women, and of all levels. And that is just an incredible opportunity to learn and get different perspectives. So as a young lawyer, I practice in front of this judge, and this judge, he came into the division probably October, and we generally move around in January, the judges do. So he came in October. So the first week in January, he said, okay, everyone, I know you've gotten all your new books. You've gotten your rules, you've gotten the statute books. I want you all to read the rules for this division from the Florida Supreme Court. Read the evidence code. The evidence code is written by the legislature, Chapter 90. And read certain statutes that belong to this type of division. And I did that. And every year I was in front of that judge. I was in front of that judge for a couple of years. And he would say that every single January. So when I became a judge, I said, what am I going to do to continue to teach? Because I've always taught. I've always taught. So I tell the lawyers in January, all right, we're in family. Read Rule 12, read Chapter 90, read 61, 63. When I was in dependency court, which is the abuse, abandonment, neglect division. Okay, everyone, read Chapter 39. Read the rules for dependency and delinquency. Read the statute for that chapter of the statutes.
Wow.
In family, the same thing. In probate guardianship, when I met with them to introduce myself, because I'm new to this world to them, I said, I've read Rule 5, front to back. I've read the appropriate statutes, and these are things, and I would hope that you do the same, because I have. And criminal, Rule 3, and evidence code. Always read the evidence code, because you'll find something in there that the legislature added, or something that you say, wait, I sort of remember that, but I haven't had the opportunity to use that, but now I know it's there, and I'm going to utilize it. And every year I say read Rule 2, which is the Rules of Judicial Administration. That's the Florida Supreme Court telling us what our guidance is. What are we supposed to do as judges, and how we run our courtroom, or we run our divisions, or what our authorities are, and things like that. Or like right now, to swear people in electronically, that's part of the rule. So that's part of our rules. So that's how I prepare. And I do speak to the other judges who may have more experience in that division, and so forth. And I think that's my reputation in the courthouse. And I don't want to speak for the chief judge, but when Nancy Clark, our county judge, announced that she was retiring some time ago, the chief judge, Don Myers, came to me and said, Alan, I want you to be our mentor coordinator. So I'm the Ninth Circuit mentor coordinator now, and I'm tasked with assigning mentors to our new judges. We have 2 new county judges now, Elizabeth Gibson and Andrew Bain. And they're already rock and rolling and in the courtroom. They are there. And it was my job to get with them within 48 hours of them being appointed, assign them a mentor, and I coordinated all that. And also I'm tasked with teaching my fellow judges how to mentor our new judges. And actually we have I've set up a training session for our new mentors who I've picked and our returning mentors in September to a refresher and a new training so that we can have a better new judiciary as we proceed through the years.
Love it.
I have a very important question. How do you find the time? How?
He creates it.
I was asked some time ago, what would be some way you can make the court system better or my courtroom better? And I said, create more time. Create more time.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, with this pandemic, my division, the guardianship, mental health, risk protection order, Jimmy Wright's division, the Supreme Court said that there are 6 essential areas that will continue to go forward uninterrupted, which includes in-person hearings. Even though civil can't do in person, family can't do in person, criminal can't do in person, really. They're doing it by video. I still have people come to see me every single day in the courthouse, and I have not stopped working since the pandemic. There's only been 2 or 3 days that I've actually worked from home because
Really?
I've only worked 2 or 3 days from home. And when I did that, there was a court reporter that was assisting me so I could do that from a remote location. And even with that, and I'm the one that reviews all of the firearm cases, the individuals who have mental health issues who should not be possessing firearms.
Yeah.
And the law enforcement agencies and I have an agreement that that I am available. I'm the first call. If they can't get a hold of me, they can go to our emergency duty judge. And most people understand this. We're almost like doctors. There's a judge on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless if there's a hurricane, tornado, natural disaster. There is a judge available to be able to do a judicial task. And back when we had the 5 hurricanes in the early 2000s, when the courthouse windows were blown out and we had no air conditioning, I sat in this Orange County courthouse and did initial appearances from the 4th floor courtroom in virtually no electricity and no air conditioning, sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt. So there's always someone available to do a task because we never shut down. We never shut down.
And that's very important for us to let everyone know that judges work all the time. It's not your regular 9 to 5. It is always on the job.
Constant. Wow.
So, Judge, I do have another question.
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
What is the most challenging case that you presided over, and how did you navigate it?
Well, I'll tell you. First, I'll tell you about 2 cases when I was a lawyer that I still think about, and I can talk about those because those are completely resolved. I was just a 3-year lawyer, and when I was a prosecutor, there was a homicide case that the homicide division didn't want to handle, and they sent it back to the division, and the division chief did not want to handle it, and said, "Alan, do you want to handle this case?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I took it. I was just 29 years old, just barely 3 years as a lawyer, and I was handed a murder trial. A husband had shot and killed his wife over a bowl of spaghetti, and the spaghetti was found in a microwave, and the only witness to the crime was the wife who had died, and and the husband. And it's what we call a silent witness case. That means there was no live witness testimony. My entire presentation was through expert witnesses, ballistics witnesses, firearm witnesses, blood splatter witnesses, introduced the furniture from the crime scene and all of that. And I was successful, and I got that woman justice. It was a horrible case, and it was a domestic violence case, and it was horrible. And that was one of the cases. And then I had the unfortunate opportunity to prosecute a parent for killing their child after that. And that was probably the most heart-wrenching thing, because I had to go to the medical examiner's office and meet with the medical examiner and look at the photographs, and I had to make a determination which photographs would be admissible, because we can't just introduce those photographs because of the prejudicial effects. So I had to be judicious with the appropriate photographs, and that was a very, very tough case on an emotional level, because parents are in general are not wired to deal with the death of a child. It's usually children deal with the death of their parents. So that was pretty trying. And I think those two cases built my reputation in the courthouse over the years with the judges here. And as a judge, it's more difficult, because there's sometimes not finality in cases, because there's always secondary and third review. But I've had cases assigned to me over the years that have been heart-wrenching, and multi-day trials with expert witnesses and evidence, heavily litigated cases by the lawyers, and they've been on TV. And that's, I think, the hardest thing is actually, I think everyone has, when the cameras are in the courtroom, I think it changes some of the dynamics. And this case is closed. I did another, as a judge, I did a child homicide case as a judge a couple weeks after the end of the Casey Anthony trial. And the lawyers said, "Judge, there's no way that we're going to be able to successfully select a jury in Orange County after the Casey Anthony trial." And I said, "We have to try first. We are going to develop questions to these jurors, which we call media questions. And we're going to bring in extra jurors to make sure that once we get through the media questions, where people can set aside anything they may have learned or heard about and still be fair and impartial in these type of cases, then be able to select a jury." And we were successful. I did not have to move that case to another part of the state. We picked that jury in 2 days, and it was a fascinating trial, because there was expert witness testimony. There was testimony by family members on both sides. It was a fascinating trial, and that's one of many trials I've done as a judge. I've presided over 100 jury trials. I've presided over 20 murder cases. I've had a lot of experience in my 18 years on the bench, and I think what the citizens need to know is we have not shut down, but we recognize as judges that we have a growing backlog. We have a growing backlog because we don't have full access to the courthouse. And once this pandemic is over and we've moved back, we're in phase 1 now. When we move back to phase 2, the less restrictions, the numbers are going to increase. When we get whatever, I don't even know if they call it phase 3. We haven't even gotten there, so I'm not sure if phase 3 is the right word, or if after phase 2 we're fully back open. But the floodgates are going to open, the cases are going to explode, and you're going to need judges who have the experience and been able to take things from every single division they've presided in to provide justice to both sides and all sides. And that's what you get with me.
And like you mentioned, Judge, justice delayed is justice denied. And with your experience, there is no delay in having justice, you making decisions and taking cases and, making decisions on
And
them,
that,
ruling on them.
and we're tasked with that. We are tasked. And I am not a grant or deny judge. I don't say, okay, your motion is granted, have a good day. I will say, okay, these are the facts. These are the rules that I have to apply. This is the law. It's granted, it's denied. Counsel generate an order for me. I want the litigants and the lawyers, when they leave my courtroom, to know exactly how and why I ruled. So that's what the citizens want. That's what the members of our community want in a judge, is to tell them, why did they win, or why did they lose, or why did both sides lose, or why did both sides win. I want them to know, and we are tasked to make rulings within 60 days. But I rule right away. There's very few times that I have not ruled immediately. And the last time I did that was last week, and I told the lawyers, do not be bashful. I will get you an order within 2 weeks. And if you don't get an order within 2 weeks, you call my office. You are not going to upset me or my JA or have an adverse ruling. And I actually signed that order before I got on with you all this afternoon. I got it done, and it's actually due July 22. I got it done a week early. So that order was generated. It was a multi-page order. It's out, and it's to help a vulnerable individual. So I don't want delay when it comes to dealing with our Marchment, Baker, and guardianship cases.
Beautiful. Amazing. And that's why we need Judge Apt on the bench. So, Vyky, I know you have a question to ask, and you're giving me the look. I can see it in your face. But I can't hear you. I can see the look, but I can't hear you. Vyky,
oh my gosh, I had it on mute. It's okay. It's neither here nor there. I was looking at you like you had something. I was just thinking about everything that you said and all of the different cases that you have presided over. And I mean, I know that there has to be times that you do lose sleep. And so that's not even a question that I feel like we do need to get into, because I mean, we can ask that question, but do you lose? I mean, that is difficult. Do you lose sleep over?
No, Vyky, the question should be, Judge, do you actually go to sleep? That should be the question.
I think we've established that he doesn't.
I know I'm not adopted, because I have traits from both parents. And my dad, I think it's from being in the Air Force. My father would be up at 4:30 every single day, regardless. And so, I mean, you guys, Rania knows, I spin. I go to my spin class really early in the morning. So I'm up really early in the morning, and sun's not up yet. I'm the only one on the road, driving over to my spin class. And I get up early and I stay up late. I probably average 5 hours at most a night in sleep, if that.
Oh my gracious.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I need to start spinning.
We sit all day. And we sit all day. And
I see that.
I tell our new judges is, we will sit for 5 hours straight. And we have to get up. You have to get up. You take a break every hour, hour and a half, and get up and walk, because if not, you'll get leg cramps. You'll get issues with your legs, and you'll gain weight. So
that's not you judging. That's you knowing the case.
Right. So do I fret over cases or decisions I've made or things I have done? Absolutely. And as a lawyer, I have an example. This is back before they built this building that we're in now. I actually had the privilege of practicing within the original courtroom, the fancy historic courthouse courtroom. I practiced there, and that was just an incredible experience. But when I was in that courthouse as a prosecutor, I negotiated a resolution with someone, and that, based upon what the crime was, scored a prison, and they wound up, the judge sentenced the person to prison. Something came in a month afterwards, which was exculpatory. That mean that it wasn't the crime that the person pled to was what they should have been sentenced for. And I provided that information to the other attorney, the person's attorney, and I contacted the judge with that lawyer's permission, said, we need to bring this person back and we need to fix this. And we brought it back, and I told the judge that based upon this, I have to ask you please to set aside his sentence and allow him to plead to this different offense, which turned out not to be a felony, but to be a misdemeanor. And that person was let go. And and literally we got this, and this is before computers. We did not, this happened, we did not have computers. So everything was like by phone, or, still had typewriters. So we didn't get computerized in this courthouse until after this building. So not until like 2000 did we get computers. So it's not really that long ago when you think about it. It's just we were a little bit slow getting to the computer age. But I brought the person back, and he got out that day. Out that day. I have never forgotten that. And that's what a lawyer's role is you don't just say the case is over and move on. If you get information that's exculpatory as a prosecutor, you got to turn it over. You got to turn it over, and you have to fix it, because that's justice.
Oh my gosh.
And as a judge, over the years, absolutely. This is not a rule, but this was created by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, in an opinion, said non-final orders by a judge can always be reconsidered by the court on its own or by the request of a litigant. And I take that very seriously. And if I believe I made a mistake, I will say, you guys are coming back. I want to talk about this. I've read the order that's in writing. Because remember, we orally rule. And now I have it in writing. And I'm like, this is not right. We're coming back. And I did that. And I've done that. I did that last year. I'm trying to think of anything right now. This year, if I've had the opportunity to do that, I don't think so. I do have some debates with the staff attorneys on some issues. I'll say, I'm not sure this is right. Let's relook at it before I make a decision. But I remember last year I ruled on something, and I'm like, when I'm reading the order that was generated, I'm like, this is not right. This is just not right. And invited everybody back, and I said, this is not right, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to present more evidence, and we'll go from there. And I did, and then after that additional evidence, I made a different decision. So that's what the community needs and wants in their judge, and I do. I've done it on the lawyer side. I've done it on the judge side, and I'll continue to do that. And I will continue to come to the courthouse early and late. And it's actually interesting is we do come to the courthouse on the weekends. Not right now because of the pandemic, but before mid-March, you would come on the weekends, and there'd be judges here in the courthouse working on the weekends. And sometimes there's no air conditioning. It's not really fun in the summertime to be in this building with no air conditioning. And we're a very collegial group. We're a good group that gets along, and we have all different backgrounds and come from all different parts of Florida and parts of the country, and have all different backgrounds. That makes us strong. Mm-hmm. Our diverse judiciary makes us very strong.
Friends, if you are just now joining us, first off, you need to replay this to start it from the beginning, because you got a really great deep dive into who Judge Alan Apte is. And if you are looking to do your own research, I invite you to go to his website, reelectjudgeapte.com. It's scrolling right here, right down at the bottom of the screen. But I have learned so much about you, Judge, and I love your aura and your passion toward justice towards the right decision or the best decision. So I want to continue with the questions just because I just want people to just get a little bit more about you.
Absolutely.
And I know that there's so much going on in the world today, but I do just want to ask you, do you believe the composition of juries adequately and fairly reflects society at large? Because I know you have so much experience and you've seen a lot in your judging time, in your time as a judge.
So it's interesting. Juries is an interesting thing. One of the papers I had to write in law school was when the legislature changed the statute on how we draw from the citizens our jury pools. When I was in law school, we asked citizens to come to the courthouse for jury service based upon voter registration, which was limiting. If you didn't register the vote, you didn't get called to jury duty. The legislature changed the law to indicate to have juries summoned by their driver's licenses, or they can come down and sign a piece of paper saying, hey, I want to be a juror. And that gets recorded and that goes into the pool. And the guise of that is to increase the cross-section of our community. So the Supreme Court tells us, depending what type of case it is, how many jurors we can bring into our courtroom. Basic civil cases is roughly 22. This is circuit court, 22. County court, it's a little lower, like 18. Circuit criminal, 30 to 40 to 50 because of due process issues. So every single day, we have a judge in this courthouse. When we had jury trials, they're suspended right now. We have a judge in this courthouse that we would have to tell that judge how many jurors we need for our case. So if I had as a felony trial judge, if I had a third-degree felony, I would request 30 jurors. If there's anything quirky, like if it's a media case or there is multiple counts, I can request a couple extra. So the jury judge would communicate to the jury room. If all the judges responded by a certain time, requests on our system, jurors with numbers 1 through whatever must show up at the courthouse. We have something what they call the yield. The yield is how many people actually respond to that request.
Yeah.
So I've been in a trial division where we've had about 35% show up rate. I've been in a trial division where we've had a 50%. So if all the judges in the courthouse need 200 jurors, we're going to request 400 people to show up.
Right.
And that is done randomly, and potential jurors have a right to request an excuse and things of that nature or a postponement. So that's called the yield. And I've been in this courthouse where we've shut down jury trials because we have not had enough jurors show up that day. So when the jurors come up, consistency in how you pick a jury is important. So they come up as they come in, sit in the seats. The plaintiff always has the options on the odd number seats first, and the defendant or respondent always has the even number seats, their first opportunities for selection purposes. But I'm tasked as a trial judge to look at the diversity of the panel. I'm tasked to look at, is it a true cross-section of our community? It's never going to be perfect. We are never going to be able to say, we need this percentage of this, we need that percentage of that. So we have to make sure that there appears to be a cross-section. But also the lawyers are tasked with, or the litigants are tasked with saying, hey, this is not a cross-section of the community. And I will tell you, over the years, I've done over 100 jury trials as a judge and over 100 as a lawyer in 27 years in Central Florida. And it's a pretty good group that comes in. And I think that is saying something wonderful about our community. And when people pick the jury and the jury selected of the 6 or the 12, depending upon the case, there is always a cross section. It's never a complete cross section, but it is a cross section. And then when that jury is selected, I would send them into a jury room so I can give the final words to the people on the panel who did not make it on the jury. And I would say to them, I say this is my habit, I do it all the time, never probably verbatim, but I say, look at everyone who has been sitting in this room. We've had a complete cross section of our community. It's been men, women, race, background, where are they from, things like that. And I tell them about the yield. I tell them that if we needed 400, we would need to request 800. And I would tell them, when you go back home, tell your friends and family about your experience here for jury duty. If it was great, tell them it was great. If it was bad, tell them it was bad. Tell them if it was indifferent, tell them it's indifferent. But also tell them, please don't complain about your judicial system if you don't want to show up to the courthouse and be part of it. And I would tell it to every single panel after the jury has been sent back to your jury room to get acquainted with the room. And I hopefully they do that, because this system works when we have a complete cross section and diverse jury panels. And I can tell you, I've never had, to my recollection, any lawyer or litigant make an objection to the composition of the jury panels. And if they did, then we have a mechanism to have a hearing on it. And we everything we have a procedure for. So if someone made that objection, we would have that hearing on it. And so
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then what do you perceive as the greatest obstacle to justice, if any? I know that.
Well, I think I mentioned it before. It's that justice delayed is justice denied. I think that.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's everybody. It doesn't matter what type of case it is: civil, criminal, family, contract, delinquency, dependency, guardianship, probate. If you can't get your day in court, that's the first obstacle to justice. Not being able to get here is a problem. So getting here is the greatest obstacle, and our job is to get you here. And having technology now is
amazing.
Is the best thing we can do right now before we can get to full access. And I'll tell you, I'm going to keep, if I can,
I love that.
A lot of this video, because you guys could be lawyers right now, and we could be saying, oh, by the way, this webinar is now over, and let's call our next case.
It is not over yet, Judge. Yes. We still have 2 more questions.
Oh my God. Okay.
I just want to know, because we've, again, deep dive in a super great conversation with you. I now know who it is that I'm going to be voting for come August 18th. And I think that it's important for people to get to know you, because the only time they're going to see you is when you're up there on a bench. But I just want to ask you, since I do have you in front of us, kind of behind the desk, words from behind the desk, but in a computer screen, what do you feel are your greatest strengths, and what message do you want to tell voters?
Well, my greatest strength is my background. I have that analytical. I have a chemistry degree. My background, I have a bachelor's of arts degree in chemistry. I have a minor in fine art, and I have a minor in computer science, and I'm a few credit hours shy of a literature degree. And that's my parents. My parents were just, you need to be well-rounded. And the chemistry degree is like my dad, makes me very analytical. And my art background makes me, when I can be outside the box, use my discretion. Let's fashion something that's going to be justice. So that's what the citizens in Orange and Osceola County get with me. Plus, when I'm analyzing their case, hearing the evidence, seeing the evidence, that's the testimony evidence, the physical evidence, and I can analyze the rules, I analyze the law, and I take all my experiences in every division that I've been in. I mean, I've been assigned to every division in our urban county and in our southern, in our rural county, and that experience is important for the citizens. So when they know they present their evidence, they present their case, they're going to have somebody who is going to, with experience, completely analyze their case and make the just decision. And that's what they get in me. And they don't have to wait to August 18th for Vote for Me. Absentee ballots were delivered in Osceola County yesterday, and I believe Orange County absentee ballots are arriving today. Early voting is starting August 3rd, and they can do walk-in voting at the supervisor's office, I believe. I don't want to get in trouble with Bill Cowles or Mary Jane Arrington in the two different counties about walking into their offices, but voting has started. Experience matters. And when we come out of this pandemic, you're going to need experienced judges like me and my fellow judges on the bench to resolve these disputes.
I love it. Judge, I appreciate so much your time in just giving us a chance to get to know you and answering some questions that help our audience be able to make the right decision in who they elect come August 18th, or as you said, maybe even right now. If you guys want more information, though, please make sure you go to reelectjudgeapt.com. He has the voting information on there, and I know that it includes for early voting as well. And Judge Apt, I appreciate you allowing me to get to know you, and thank you so much for joining us on Words from Behind the Desk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I look forward to continuing to serve our community inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom for years and years to come. Thank you very much. Everyone, please remember, vote for me now and early voting on August 18th. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Oh, of course I did that. Guys, Rania, incredible. What an incredible judge.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. I'm so glad we got a deep dive with him. I didn't know that about his family. It sounds like he has such a heart, just stretched out of like chaos, like being born or growing up in the Great Depression and having parents that had that leadership. I'm excited to get to know him. And I think that speaks value of who he is as a person.
It does. And honestly, all the attorneys, every single attorney I know loves Judge Apt. You know, everyone in the community just respects him and loves him and thinks very highly of him. So after this good 1 hour, presentation of Judge Apt, hopefully people will, voters will know a little bit more about him and get to make the right choice.
Exactly. And guys, do not forget, you guys can either replay this video and replay it and watch it all over to learn more about him, or you can always go to reelectjudgeapt.com. Guys, thank you so much for joining us again on another virtual edition of Words from Behind the Desk. We will be back here again next Wednesday at 2 p.m. with another incredible guest, or maybe it's just me and Rania. We'll keep you guys with a surprise. Yeah. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. And make sure that you stay safe and stay healthy. And we hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Have a nice rest of the day and the week. Bye-bye.